Hey, what is happening, you barbaric Bonsley? Today, looking at some more Paldea Evolved brews, and we're going to be taking a look at everyone's most hyped deck heading into this format from Paldea Evolved, like a new deck. Like Guardy's probably going to be the BDIF, but this deck could contend to be a top tier deck in the meta for sure, and that is the Chien-Pao Baxcalibur deck. We're getting Chien-Pao and Baxcalibur from the news. Those are going to be the big new cards we're getting. Baxcalibur is a stage 2 Pokemon with the absolute zero ability that allows us to accelerate any basic water energy we have in our hand to our Pokemon in play. And then the Chien-Pao EX, 220 HP, got that Trembling Frost ability that searches our deck for 2 basic water energy once per turn, and then does 60 damage for 2 water energy. Does 60 damage times the amount of water energy we discard from our Pokemon. So get the water energy out of the deck, then get it into play with the Baxcalibur, and then take 1 KOs on basically anything we want with the Chien-Pao. Of course, it is a 2-prize, 220 HP Pokemon, so it's not the most durable Pokemon out there right now. So it is very much a hard hitter, kind of glass cannon. Not quite a glass cannon. I mean, 220 is still decent. You make your opponent work a decent amount for that knockout. But as far as like glass cannon kind of type stuff goes in the current meta of Pokemon, I think Chien-Pao is up there. But we back it up with some other attackers in here, some other Pokemon. We got the Palkia V-Star 2/2 line of that. Another attacker, a little bit more durable. Can't quite hit the numbers, but in situations it is the better attacker. And it's got, of course, that Star Portal ability that allows us to accelerate 3 water energy into play. So if we haven't quite got to the Baxcalibur, or if our Baxcalibur gets KO'd, it can be a nice backup energy accelerant in the deck through the Palkia V-Star. Like I said, also a very nice attacker as well in a lot of situations. We don't need to be doing like huge numbers, just like 100 damage, 120 damage will be enough. If we're just KOing a Ralt, I don't really want to be discarding my energy, and I'd rather have something with a little bit more HP in our active. We got the Kyogre. Now this Kyogre is not a new card, but it's probably the first time some of you have seen it. The Kyogre has 140 HP. Its attack for water colorless, does 180 damage to one of our opponent's benched Pokemon. And then we return 3 water energy from the Pokemon to our hand. So the water energy go immediately back to our hand, and then we can just Baxcalibur them back into play. And this is going to be really good at sniping Luminions, of course. 180 damage. Luminions got 170 HP. Pretty good lineup. Also, against the Lugia matchup, sniping Archeops is going to be really, really good with the Kyogre. Of course, we're playing a water deck. You got to have the Radiant Greninja in there. And of course, being able to attack with the Radiant Greninja in this deck is going to be super powerful as well up against the Lost Box decks. And the Guardy deck's going to be putting a lot of pressure on them. We're going to get to that a little bit later about how we can utilize it further. As soon as we mentioned, got Luminion and a 2/2 B-Barrel in here for the support Pokemon. The supporter line's pretty thin here. Only 4 Irida, 2 Iono, and a Boss's Orders. Only 1 Gust effect here because we do have the Cross Switchers, which combo really well with Irida. But specifically, we're trying to make them combo with the Canceling Cologne. The one thing I kind of saw from this deck when I watched it get played out in the tournament in Taiwan that I watched recently was it felt like it was just always kind of behind in the prize trade against Gradevoir and Lost Box. Like it felt like you're always, most of the time you were just kind of behind. Or if the other person played well and drew well in a Lost Box deck or a Gradevoir deck, you were going to be behind. So I was like, how do we fix that? How do we solve the prize trade? And it was like, well, Greninja works, but we'd have to KO their Manaphy first. And I do have some Lost Cities in here because I think Lost City is really powerful against Lost Box, of course, but I also think it's really good against Gradevoir as well. Get some Lost Cities in play, start to knock out some of Gardevoir's Ralts and Curlias and Gardevoirs, go to the Lost Zone. They're not going to be able to aggressively recover those with Super Rod like they'd like to. So I really like the idea of Lost City in this deck right now. Of course, the Skate Park is also a good option. For those of you who don't know what Skate Park does, when you retreat your Pokemon with basic energy, instead of the basic energy going to the discard pile, they go to your hand instead. So everything like effectively has free retreat, load it up with energy, retreat it, go to your attacker, reload the energy into play after you recover them from the skate park, and then, you know, you're just attacking just fine. But I think Lost City is a little bit more powerful headed forward, at least initially. That's where my mind's at. Lost City seems pretty cool. But back to the combo of Cross Switcher and Canceling Clone. So we could Lost City their Manaphy, but that's kind of 2 turns before we can actually get to using our Greninja. And at that point, they could boss KO our Greninja. And we want to be a little bit more aggressive than that, I feel like. So I've got the Cross Switchers in here alongside the Canceling Cologne, alongside Irida that searches for items. So we can hopefully turn 2, turn 3, go double Cross Switcher plus Canceling Cologne, bring up that Manaphy, and then use that Moonlight Shuriken to knock out double Comfey or double Curlia or Ralts and a Curlia, a Comfey and a What else do they have? I guess you could knock out their Manaphy if you wanted to, but that's the idea. A little bit more aggressive in that route. Talking about the rest of the list, it's a little bit thin on the Baxcalibur line, but we do have the Palkia, of course, in here for another form of energy acceleration. I haven't tested any games of this deck yet. This is all theory. This is all just my thought process, my experience for playing the Pokemon TCG for the last, I don't know, 13, 14 years. It's just being applied to what seems like it could be a good way to play Chien-Pao Baxcalibur, with the thought of Gradevoir and Lost Box being so popular. This is what I kind of came up to with on the stream the other day. But the rest of the cards in here, we got 4 Superior Energy Retrieval, of course. And for those of you who don't know what this card does, a super powerful recovery card. Discard 2 cards from your hand and then search your discard pile for up to 4 basic energy cards. So that's a lot of energy we'll be able to utilize throughout the game. Of course, Chien-Pao's attack discards energy as our Pokemon get knocked out. Those energy go to the discard pile, and then superior energy retrieval comes into play. Discard 2 cards from our hand, boom, 4 energy from the discard pile, put them into play with Baxcalibur, and we're swinging once again. Like I mentioned, pretty thin Baxcalibur line, just a 302 and 2 rare candy. So one of the things I kind of feared about the Baxcalibur deck was I was like, well, what if they just boss KO your Baxcalibur after you attack with Chien-Pao? I was like, okay, Palkia does help with that a little bit if you haven't used your store portal yet. And Irida is really good at aggressively finding Baxcalibur and the rare candy because it searches for a water Pokemon and an item card. So as long as you got the Frigibax or as the Frigibax in play, you should be all good to go. So currently just sitting at a 302 line, but I could see us getting into like a 303 line plus 3 rare candy or something like that, because it's getting a little bit thicker for sure. Depends on how matchups actually play out and if our opponent can actually afford to chase down our Baxcalibur, and then it really is a struggle to kind of chain them out from there. You know, if you prize your second rare candy and they KO your first Baxcalibur, you're kind of screwed. Same thing if you prize the Baxcalibur. So I could see playing like a 3-3 line or something like that. We got a lot of Pokemon searching here as well, so we can start to cut back on the Ultra Balls or the Battle VIP passes or the Nest Balls, but being consistent is cool. So pretty big fan of that. So far right now, just rocking the 302, but we have it alongside the Palkia, so don't fear. We got a little bit of energy acceleration there as well. And then also in here, I do have the Heavy Ball because, I don't know, Greninja is really good. Prizing Greninja sucks. Irida can find Heavy Ball, which then if we prize Greninja, can find the Greninja. I don't know. I might cut that because it feels like the only thing we'd ever have to really Heavy Ball for consistently would be the Greninja. Kyogre, of course, is a pretty situational attacker. We have 3 at Chien-Pao. We have a 2-2 Palkia. We have a 302 Baxcalibur. Luminion, that could be a problem, I guess, if it's prized. But to find the Heavy Ball, we probably have to play the Irida to begin with. And to get the Irida to begin with means if we have the Irida to begin with, we probably don't need the Luminion. So Heavy Ball might be a little bit of a floating spot right now. But that's my current take on the Chien-Pao Baxcalibur deck. Just like yesterday, like I mentioned in the Fortress EX video, if you guys want to see me brew up anything specific, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be streaming next week, and I might have some time to work on some more lists before the set drops on PTCG Live on Thursday. So I might come at you with some more pre-set dropping lists. Let me know in the comment section down below what you want to see, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.